You've probably already wondered how the internet works. Basically, how is it possible for millions of computers to be able to communicate with each other all across the world, and to be able to share information in record time? All of these computers are part of a large network called the internet. But before internet, where does it come from? In fact, it was Ben Kerf and Robert Kahn who are behind the creation of a suite of a protocol called TCP/IP, which allows the transfer of data over the internet. The first TCP/IP mod took place in 1973 and was not until 1983 it was adopted by the ARPANET network, or if you want, the Advanced Research Project Agencies network. Computer networks, it is even possible to share peripherals such as printers or security cameras. The computers are linked together with electronic devices, often called a switch, by computer technicians. These switches are then connected to a main network switch, or if you prefer, a main switch. All these devices are then linked to a data server, which you can access with a username and password. This data server is then connected to a router and a modem, so that you can have internet connection through a web provider. In school, for example, the computer room is called a LAN, for local area network. If you want to connect computers from 2 or more schools, then use a router. At home, the switch, the router, the Wi-Fi antenna are often found in a single device to allow our computers or laptops to connect with or without wires. We often talk about Wi-Fi and wireless connections, but these connections require wires behind the scenes. Gigantic wires are even submerged and across entire oceans underwater to connect continents so that the internet connections can be made between all countries on the planet. Communication signals can be modified by wires and distributed through powerful antennas for Wi-Fi. We often talk about using 2.4 GHz or 5 GHz band. These are frequencies that routers and devices can recognize. The 2.4 GHz band works well for checking emails and searching the web. 2.4 GHz band generally allows you to have network outside the house. For example, for its part, the 5 GHz band makes it possible to double the level of data transmitted and therefore is much more effective when you want to listen to videos, to play online, or to share files. However, you should know that at the moment, not all devices or networks are compatible with 5 GHz network. Some signals are even stronger and can even come from space. They are sent by satellites using much higher frequencies, including up to 40 GHz microwave band. There must be some that are directly plugged into routers with wires, in addition to the electrical wires to be able to work. So it is important to remember, wires play a role in the sending of a signal. Even if we often talk about a mobile or a wireless network, there are millions of networks around the world, including local, domestic, and wireless. It takes a large number of routers all across the world. All of these routers are interconnected, and we can call this extended network, or the wide area network, or if you prefer, the global web. So in this sense, the internet is a network of networks. Each computer and device that can connect to the internet has its own IP address in the form of a series of 4 groups, 1, 2, or 3 digits maximum. 58.147.128.0 is an example of an IP address. IP addresses allow us to identify computers on the internet, but they are difficult to remember. To help us, we created what is called the Domain Name System, or if you prefer, a DNS. This allows websites to be identified by a domain name, making it easier for us to remember them. Have you ever heard of a URL? The letters URL stand for Uniform Resource Locator. A URL is simply an address to find a unique resources on the web. These can be web pages, documents, images, and more. To search on the web, we use search engines. These web applications make it possible to display the results according to the request, requested by internet users. Today, Google remains the most well-known search engine of all, but there are several others such as DuckDuckGo, Bing, Quant, Yahoo. You can say that in the end, search engines serve to provide answers to the questions of those who make requests, to provide us with relevant search results. Search engines do 2 main things: crawling, a search for pages on the internet; indexing, a ranking of results in order of relevance. The request will be put in what is called an envelope, also called a package, which shows you the address of the recipient, obtained by the DSN, and that of the sender, you. This is how requests and information can be sent and routed to the right computer. What you have to remember is that in the end, the internet is a platform that sends information between computers, and that the web is a way to visit websites using a browser, computers, tablets, smartphones, or other smart devices. Let's imagine for a moment that you would like to see a picture of a cat. You would type the word cat in a search engine of your choice, using your web browser of choice, like Chrome, Safari, or Edge. It is your search engine that will send the request for you and offer you photos of cats available on the web. You will have several. But how are these photos chosen, and how do they get to your computer in record time? For example, you make a request on a search engine. You become what is called an internet user. The word cat becomes the keyword, and a request is sent via your computer network to find files corresponding to this keyword. Basically, the path your request will take will be: the query is a written search engine on a computer connected to the internet and identified by an IP address. The DNS will allow you to establish a correspondence between the location of the resource, URL, you are looking for, often in a large data center with servers, and a numerical address, the IP, to access it. A router routes the packet to your computer using a routing table. There you go. Your photos of cats are ready and arriving. Now all you have to do is choose the one you prefer.